up to speed, up to speed, up to speed.
Live from the apocalypse, cooked just the way you like it. This is State of the Game. We are, a healthy alternative to stuff that sucks. You know, I guess that's on the bumper sticker. So I am Dano. I am the handlebar mustache of podcast hosts. You know, that's the human handlebar mustache is that's how I'm doing it. And my co-host, give you a sense of the character of my co-host, is this week someone walked up to him and said, "Oh, you're a snack," and he yelled in her face and said, "I'm the whole meal," and walked away.
Yeah,
that's who he is.
Whole meal and the dessert.
There you go.
Let him know. Let him know. So thank you for being here, Kay. Throughout the whole year. What a time we've had. What a time we've had. And to celebrate, we're in the best of episode. This is a dream guest. We're talking about a Chicago legend. And if you don't think so, ask Chance the Rapper.
Oh,
he remembers. You know what I mean? Because I think you know.
He would know.
He would know. The Psalm 1 is here. Thank you for returning and for looking over this list. I always worry when I give the keys to the Google Doc because it's a lot. There's a lot of madness in the Google Doc. And how did you enjoy your swimming through that?
First, I was overwhelmed and I said, did I bite off more than I can chew?
Fair.
And then I was like, when is it again? No, because like you asked me in July.
Yeah.
And you circled back like in November.
Yep.
And I was like, that should be fine.
You got to give people a chance. You got to give people extra time to acquiesce into the Google Doc.
I'm a long time, music stan, specifically hip hop super stan and student. Listen to a ton of music as a kid, teenager, college. I did take a lot of time, not listening to anyone else, not to get inspired and listening to, a lot of myself and, my small ecosystem. But this was a fun challenge for me. And I was like, I'm a host on Audio Tree.
Yep.
So if people don't know, it's like a music discovery platform and channel. And they do a lot of live sessions with a lot of different bands, like, mostly non-hip hop. They do have hip hop artists come through, but the nature of the job has me researching and discovering, and, interviewing bands that, some I've heard of, a lot of them I haven't. So I thought I was, probably in the realm of some of the stuff that was going to be on your list. No, not really. Not really. I mean, a lot of that like initial document that you gave, a lot of them I had listened to, but most of them I hadn't. So I was like, okay, this will be a fun project.
Yeah.
A lot goes into this, you know what I mean? So many. I actually Googled today. I said, how many music, projects came out in 2023? There's no number there because it's like, is it untrackable? I mean, it's not. At this point, there's so much shit.
There's so much. And my list is weird because it doesn't really have to make sense. Like, I don't do a top hip-hop albums list. I just do whatever strikes me.
I mean, look, if you did like a conservative estimate, we've already had like 48 weeks. So if you did it like a conservative estimate, let's just say 10 new releases a week.
Yeah.
That would be 480 albums.
Yeah.
A lot. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
And that's just a conservative. We've had artists release 2 or 3 projects. So it's unfathomable.
Yep. No, it's wild, and it is whatever strikes me, whatever I'm interested in. And I try and give people the keys. And I've had some interesting stuff in the past where like rappers will reach out to me and be like, I listen to Lulu's now because you put it on your list, and it's just like all girl alternative kind of salsa rock band, and I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I'm glad you do. So it's I just kind of go with the flow and see where the flow takes me. So, but it's been an incredible year, and just like, me and Kay got to talk to Fiend this year.
Okay.
And interview him. And he said, I think the hardest shit I've ever heard here, which is I did my first album for my neighborhood and the second one for the world.
Yeah.
Because he toured the world after his first album and realized that the world was a lot like his neighborhood, that everything was in bad shape. And so it just expanded his mind. It was like an incredible time talking to someone who'd been in these places, so many places. So yeah, it great stuff. But so you have started writing reviews regularly. I don't know if this is new or because I know you've done a lot of things, but you did a great. I know Frank's the Sleep Sinatra review was awesome. You did, and so what is it like? What are your internal concerns when you're writing a review of a rap album, knowing that you've been on the other end for so long?
I think it makes me, pretty qualified. I wrote a lot of sort of mini reviews kind of, or mini commentary in my book.
Yeah.
For a lot of the music that came out in the years that I was highlighting in that, so, and, I've always had so much colorful shit to say about music throughout my whole life. So, I mean, being a new, freelance music reviewer and concert previewer, it's great because it kind of keeps me to get, zoom out and not be so insular about like my own music. Keeps me looking at, the thing that like really brought us all to this is just music, the love of music, period.
Absolutely.
And, that's shaped me. And, like I was kind of teasing earlier, as a rapper, I went through a long period of only really listening to myself and like a few peers. And, that's great and all for, not being totally, inspired by trends and things like that. That's good. That's good for that. But like, I was a music lover first, I was a music stan first. I was already doing my own like little studies in certain corners of music on my own for fun my whole life. So I didn't want to get so far removed from enjoying other people's music without personalizing it, and things like that. So
yeah, no,
love it.
It's an important thing. You brought up an important point. There's a lot of rappers who I've talked to who are like, I listen to me and my friends, right? Me and my crew, right?
Yep. Yeah.
There comes a point where you're like, don't trap your ears, right? In this concentric circle, like you have to throw a monkey wrench into yourself so you can find new sounds, so you can digest new things. And I think that's really important for everybody to know, right? Because you can feel like I am plugged in, but you're plugged into 16 people, and that's it,
Yeah, and like I think for collectors and people who have their playlists or however they consume the music, or even if it's just like take it back to the big ass CD booklet. I have a big CD booklet like right here. I never opened, but it's here should I need it,
Right.
You could just listen to that forever, for the 100 albums or 200 albums that you love, and then the 1,000 random tracks that you love on repeat shuffle. You can just do that forever, right? But why not discover new shit that you love? There's so much music, there's gonna be something that you love. Of course there's a lot of trash out here, but there's a lot of good stuff, and like you keep saying, like 2023 was a really good year for music.
Yeah, the over focus on the trash is something we can get out of the way right in the beginning, right? Because it's just a math problem, right? If it's easier to make music than it ever has been, you're going to get more music you've ever gotten, and a lot of that's going to be bad.
Yeah, good, bad, indifferent. It's
Right,
going to
you're
be
gonna get
all there
more.
for you.
Right.
And it's always been that way if you really have been paying attention. Music kind of in that respect has always kind of remained the same, right? There's always going to be a lot of good stuff. Maybe not a lot of good stuff, but there will be some good stuff, some great stuff, and then there'll be, the trash. We had trash in every era.
The filter is kind of gone at this point, right? The labels don't okay artists to have a career, right? You just start making music and releasing it. So you have people that they might be bad now, but that just might be the first leg of their career. You know what I mean? Like I remember when I first got into Big Crit, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I, Crit was here, Crit is here, like touchdown. And I went back and I was like, oh shit, this is kind of a collection of the best songs from his other mixtapes that weren't as solid as this, and so he kind of existed in a place where no one was checking for him, building his strength to get where he got to, and a lot of people are just going to do that. So a lot of people that you think suck, they don't suck. They're just working it out.
Crit to me came out the gate really, really strong. And I just think he took like a polished turn. And I think some artists you can hear when they, start getting like, the label interference.
Yep.
You can really hear it, And I think, maybe he was sitting in times where he should have been active and, maybe active at times when he should have been sitting, I think Crit's timing, he was way before his time. He never has like bad music. It's just some of it, to me, some of it really hits. And then where he is now, it's like some of it you can kind of hear sort of the label influence, the label wanting him to have certain songs for certain things. And maybe it's him, maybe it's licensing opportunities, but they sound kind of like pop leaning, very intentional for the radio or licensing sort of thing. And I can't hate on that because we can all approach music in a different way.
He had that classic story of I do the mixtape run, it's huge, and then like the label finally signs me. I think Def Jam signed him, and then like they had they had no idea. They're like, this dude's from Mississippi, I don't even understand this. Like they just had no idea what to do with him, and sat there and while he sat there, everyone else was releasing music independently and winning.
And some people, like, let's keep it a buck, like with Crit, like, kind of you can hear his influence, the Southern stuff, but like people were biting his shit. So, that happens to a lot of artists. Dej Loaf comes to mind, right?
Oh God,
she got bit up so hard. You can hear it all in the Detroit. Like there's like a resurgence of like Detroit interest in like the Detroit is in Flint and all those areas in Michigan are having like a big moment right now. But Dej Loaf's like fingerprints are all over that me, in my opinion. And she got sat down by her label. You know what I mean? Because she influenced so many people, so many artists, and then was like kind of shelved low key. While everybody ran off with her shit.
Yeah, you can't really afford to sit like that. It's not like it's an ST-NAC situation where you just got to keep pumping, right? Like, and she missed out on that because of that. That's a great example.
And maybe I'm just speculating, but I blame labels for that all the time.
100%.
I blame labels, and sometimes artists sign maybe too soon, and sometimes artists don't sign the kind of deal where they can like keep working. Like, I was looking at this West Side Gun interview the other day, and he was talking about how he structured that shady deal for Griselda in such a way where it was just like, okay, we signed this deal, but we're not sitting and waiting for y'all to put our album out. We're going to just keep pumping out our projects the way we were doing. And then when y'all finally cut through all the red tape and everything, the Shady album will come out. That's why it just seemed like they were on such a tear, because they were they were able to just be free to put out shit while they waited basically on Shady to get their big, mainstream album out,
That's a great move. That's a great move.
It is a great move,
No,
Smart.
West Side Gun has shown real operational intelligence in how he moves. But yeah, Kay, do you want to just do the flute rant? Do you want me to just go into my flute rant right now?
Yes, yeah.
All right. And feel free to tell me if I've gotten this wrong. I feel personally hurt by Andre 3000 because Andre taught us how to be innovative and free, right? As an artist. Andre raised a lot of us. Like he was one of the first people to just dress how he wanted and out rap everybody, right? While he was doing it, and completely, established one of the greatest collectives in hip hop, in Dungeon Family. So the work is the work, and I'm not shitting on the work, and the legacy. But there are people on this list that I have that put out 3-4 projects this year and work a full-time job because they love this shit. They love doing this shit. And so Andre, the game he was playing of, I'm not going to release an album, but I'm going to jump on the hottest album and drop a guest verse and then hang out over here. And I was like, that's disrespectful to the people who do this work. And so when he came out and said, like in that interview, he had an interview recently where he was like, what am I going to rap about? Why would I rap? I'm old. It was like, this is what he's been saying to me this whole time without even doing this interview. Like, this is the vibe I was catching, So if you don't want to be here, then be gone and be happy, go somewhere else. Like, I don't want him if he doesn't want me. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
he's not the only one. He's not the only one I feel hurt like this about. I have Lauryn Hill. I feel hurt by. I feel like there's all these people that I was just like.
Frank plays that game too.
Who does?
Frank Ocean.
Oh, Frank Ocean, definitely.
Very much.
Definitely. Because if you fade out like that, like Andre or Frank, or even Eminem took 8 years off and was the greatest rapper of all time because he wasn't there. And they were just thinking about back in the day. So when he came back, a lot of stuff was really bad, So that's the game Andre plays. Since he doesn't have to put out albums and he can drop 16s here and there, he remains the GOAT, the mythic GOAT.
Breadcrumb. He's like breadcrumbing you.
Yeah. I'm cool with, and I'm not mad at anybody who buys into it and who plays the game and is like, he's the GOAT. You can have your GOAT. All I'm saying is, I'm not going to do that.
I'll tell you something. All right. There's two artists on this list.
Yep.
That you've omitted.
Okay. Kind
of makes it invalid, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Let's do it.
One is Andre 3000.
Yep.
2 is Psalm 1. No Psalm 1 on this list, invalid list.
Oh,
because I love you.
Yep.
I'm here.
Yep.
And we're talking music.
I appreciate you.
And we're talking your list,
Yep.
And Andre would be on my top 50 list if I had one. And you know why?
Go for it.
Did you listen to this album?
I have not listened to it.
Look at you.
Yes. I am not objective. I am a wounded baby about this situation. There's no question about it.
It's good music.
Okay.
I'll say that. Is there better experimental jazz, like spiritual, electronic, sort of transcendental meditative vibe albums out there that came out this year? Probably, most likely. But he assembled a crack squad of just really good musicians that are making waves of their own, and he's, sort of playing a top and having filters and fun. I mean, it's a true experimental album. It's great. The first cut, you kind of got to listen to it laying down. It's really chill,
That kind of brings up a question. As an artist, do you think an artist has an obligation to their fans of some sort? Like, because Andre, obviously, Andre knows that people want him to rap. He knows that his fans want him to rap. Do you feel like he has an obligation to kind of give the fans and give the people who supported them a little bit of what they want?
No, because I think that, Andre is free, very free in terms of like, he has attained a level in music where he goes into the major label and says, I'm doing a flute album, and they put their whole machine behind it. And I forgot what I think he debuted very high on Billboard, if not #1, and sold a lot of records. So his record label's satisfied. Fans not so much, the ones who want to hear him rap. But like, here's the thing, we wanted him to rap for that double album, and he didn't rap on that really. Motherfucker, we were already primed for him to not rap. It wasn't so far-fetched when he was like, I'm doing the flute album, to me. Now, am I disappointed? Yes. Right. I don't want you to think that like I'm not, there isn't a part of me that's like, damn, man, like we can't get, what I'm saying, one or two, like let's, what I'm saying, a bonus track, a secret song, something. And maybe he's got some, maybe he hears the cries from, the public, and he might give us something. But I never really holding your breath for our Andre rap album is like holding your breath for Detox. You know what I mean? That's just never coming out. Yeah, like it's not. Like I'd be so surprised if Andre was like, I'm putting out a rap album. I'd be like, damn, now that's crazy. Like sign me up. But this flute album's, it's chill, man. You can let it ride. It's really good around the house. It's a good album. It's gotten a lot of play in my crib. That's awesome. I don't listen to it outside of the crib. I would not go to the gym. I would not get in the car to it. This is like home chilling, maybe even chores type shit, That's cool. And it's perfect.
I will work towards listening to it. I respect your ear greatly, so I will work towards maturity and that situation. But that's my thing, is I really respect how hard it is to continue doing this, and so I just felt it flew in the face of all the people that have worked so hard to continue doing it. But
right, and it's almost because like it's not like we haven't heard from Andre in like 10 years or something. Like we've heard him, and he's had guest verses. Like what was the Killer Mike guest? He had a Killer Mike guest verse.
Yep.
The leaked Kanye one.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
Life of the Party. So when he's saying like there's really nothing, I don't really have anything to rap about, but we've heard you rap within the last couple of years. So
it's like, bro, just say you're uninspired. Don't talk about 40-year-old, 50-year-old rappers, because a lot of rappers who are like getting into like middle age, they're snapping.
Right.
And people don't want to hear all day. Listen, I have my, like I said, I'm sure we'll discuss everyone's sort of like picks that aren't on your, on your list, Dan. But
it's hard to go solo when you've been in a group, right? It's hard to theme your own album, to pick your own cover art, like to really start alone. And I feel like over time, listening to Outkast, listening to Big Boy's solo stuff, I was like, Big Boy was such an important force in the sound, in the creative direction, that it's very possible that Andre's worried about his ability to go solo. But I can't put that on him. I'm just saying that is a distinct possibility.
I just remembered my thought. I was just saying the general public, like rap fans don't always want to hear like, you're broke, I'm gonna kill you. I fucked your girl, whatever. There's so many things to talk about, and there's been an array of voices. So to kind of hide behind the whole like, oh, what am I going to talk about? And like, it's like you could just say you're uninspired, bro. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of rappers from every corner of rap who are getting up there in age who still find ways to make just talking about life interesting. Like, now we have our rappers, like Pusha T's never gonna change.
Right.
We'll get probably 60-year-old coke raps maybe from him. You know what I mean? Like,
I love
wait, are you down for 60-year-old Pusha T coke raps?
Me and Kay went to see Pusha T live, and I've never seen anyone happier to discuss cocaine. Like, I've never you remember, Kay? He put up like crack pipes on the screen.
Yeah, he had like one of the songs, like he had like instructions how to make crack. And I was just sitting there in awe because it was just like a group, because we saw the show in Boston. So you can imagine what like the audience was comprised of. And we're just sitting here watching like a full screen of him rapping with instructions on how to make the product in the background.
And he was practically skipping around the stage. Like, he was just he was doing it so much. I like he has a big villain energy that he leans into that is ultimately. Yeah, definitely.
And there's a bit of world building that goes along with that, and I think there might be a little of that, like you're saying, like Andre might be scared of putting a body of work that's rap based out there, because if everyone says it's trash, then there's a bit of a fall from grace that happens, that especially today, modern times, they're so eager to say you're trash. And
yeah,
I mean, he said it, you're only as good as your last, you know what I'm saying? He said it in his own raps.
Right.
He doesn't want to be I'm sure there's a bit of I don't give a fuck and I don't care, there. But there might be a little bit of a like, fear of not measuring up to like who's dope these days. But I don't think he has to worry about that shit.
No,
he shouldn't really at all. I'm totally agree with you. Yeah, so we should. Do you want to get into the honorable mentions? Let's get into some of our honorable mentions.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. So first of all, I want to shout out Generational Curse by Ice Cold Bishop. That's a hard ass album.
I did not get around to listening to that one, but
it's all California gang stuff, but it's like this. It's structurally sad. It's not gleeful. It's not like, yeah, we shoot people. It's like, giving you the whole breakdown of the system that created what this is and how deeply sad it is. It's an important album. It's a tough listen, but it's an important album.
I'll check that out.
The other one is Beloved Paradise Jazz by McKinley Dixon. McKinley Dixon forges these kind of landscapes, and he's just naturally very conceptual and always puts together a really good experience. Don't Go Outside by Unruly and Clown Cat is nasty. Obviously, Paved with Good Intentions by Solar 5 and Custom Made. Always love Solar 5.
Yeah, shout out Solar 5 and Custom, that's like fam, both of them.
Yeah. Articulated Textiles by Controller 7 and Video Dave.
Yep.
Very inventive album, very dope. It's Always a Time Like This by Def Prez, Crash Perez, and Def C, which so that album is an example, right? I don't know where Kay went, but he'll come back hopefully.
He's just like, peace.
I was checking my list and I was like, oh, there you go. So the Def Prez album, my album of the year list runs all year. The Google Doc runs all year. So I'm constantly doing and redoing.
Sure.
And that album was important to me because it was a benchmark album, right? A new dope album would drop and I'd be like, this is good, but is it that Def Prez shit? Like,
right.
it was like, that was the bar. It set the bar for other albums to have to move over. So I always need benchmarks, at these different places to kind of establish, what's there, what makes sense.
That's interesting because I was really going to ask you like what kind of criteria is going into this, but I don't want to stop you on talking about this album, but that was interesting because I kind of answered a question for me.
Yeah, no, it's the criteria. It's and it shapes, right, because you're like, you find yourself listening to things for certain things and to certain kind of clusters of talented people, and you start to analyze what that means and what the sounds are. I think I'm looking for a complete experience, right? And sometimes that's contrast, right, between the sounds and the DMC or the speaker, or sometimes it's a seamless working together of the two. But it's like coherence, cohesion, and every album has its own mission state, right? Every album has something it's trying to achieve. So did it achieve that? And how well did it achieve that? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, of course. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I want to know what it's trying to tell me. Yeah, lots of albums that didn't actually.
Hey, welcome back.
I'm back. Yeah.
Didn't powered out.
Yeah, I switched to the iPad. My bad.
It's all good. So yeah, there's lots of albums that won't be on this list. It makes me feel bad that they're not on the list because I hung with them all year, but this is where my list is right now. If I posted my list all year, I'd be annoying. So, or more annoying. So, but yeah, some of these were on mid-year and moved up or down. As sometimes it's an advantage, right? Because if you released it in April, May, June, you gave me a bunch of time to understand it and grow with it, whereas something that just came out, I might not even understand it yet. So it can be difficult, but
in order to keep up with the main list, I listen to some of these albums I listen to more than once.
Yep.
The majority of these albums I listen to once. How about for y'all?
What did you do? Did you dip into these?
Once I would listen to it once, and then I'd repeat things that musical moments that really stuck out to me. But
yeah,
there's just so much content. You've gotta.
It's like a labor of love. You gotta
yes
power through.
Yep. For me, since I know these albums, preparation this week, I was mixing different albums and different 3 songs here from this one, 3 songs from that one, to really kind of capture what I was so interested in about this album. And so that was really cool. Keyed me into the kind of the heart of things. So yeah. Samuel, did you have anything that wasn't on my list any albums you wanted to really talk about other than the
I mean, I have a list. I feel like I should bust them up, and then I'm going to continue to listen to, the things to be prepared for next week. But then I have my own list of things that I want to listen to that I haven't heard yet.
Okay.
To possibly have more recommendations. But do you want me to
Wait, have you ranked them?
No rankings.
No
rankings. Maybe next week that'll be can be some homework for me. But yeah, I don't have any rankings, just kind of a running list of albums that I really, really enjoyed that could potentially because I agree with a good hefty chunk of the albums on your list.
Yeah.
So I just figured I'd add a good hefty chunk of my own, and but by next year I'll probably do my own top 50. Who knows? But this is just a fun exercise for me, and like I love talking about music with you guys, so I just thought this would be fun. But you want me to go through like maybe I'll give you like 5 or 6 now?
Yeah, that would be dope. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
First is the Mick Jenkins, The Patience. Why'd you take him off the list? He was on it originally. Oh man, what happened to the benchmark?
I talked about this. I talked about this it was the Discord chat. I think it was a live chat I did where I was talking to people. And I was like, any other year that Mick Jenkins, The Patience shit would be top 20, top 10. Like, it's excellent.
I'm gonna pull up my notes because I have notes on all the ones that I listened to. Well, not the ones that I had already listened to. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was such a year of like not just interesting albums, not just good albums, but like artists taking really hard left turns, really interesting, innovative turns. And it's weird. I kind of love Mick Jenkins' last album more than this. Last year, Mick Jenkins was on this list very high. That album was really groovy, and I thought used his voice a lot. This was like angry Mick Jenkins, and it's great. It's a great album, but the flavor of those grooves from last year is definitely still my sweet spot. I don't know. Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm a huge Mick fan, though. I mean, he's great. So what else you got?
The next album?
Yeah.
Let's see. Sorry, gotta go all the way up. Zulu, A New Tomorrow.
If I had heard this earlier, this really would stand. That's a cool album. I really like that album.
Hardcore shit out of LA, and just oh my god, just good black punk.
Yep. Hardcore.
Yeah, super hardcore. The Be Kool-Aid, Leather Boulevard.
That is a very, very good album. And that's a great example of something that was on the list all year, and it just kind of moved and moved out. But it's a hell of an experience. It's a long album. And sometimes it kind of, it's one of those things you just put on and let it run, you know?
Yeah, it is long, for sure.
Yeah. So it was, maybe I lost footing with it for that, but there's a lot of good kind of R&B that fills that for me, that spot. So, but it's an incredible project.
Olivia Rodrigo, Guts.
Oh, I have not heard this. I've not heard this yet.
Listen, I
agree.
For the angry, angsty teenager, the lovesick, the lovesick teenager who's fucking destroying the bedroom, and
yep.
It just speaks to the teenager in me who, lovesick puppy music. Very good though.
She killed it on Saturday Night Live. It was one of the really good Saturday Night Live performances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's fired.
It was like, I came away from that like, I really do need to check this album. Like,
her first album was a little bit better to me, but this Guts is really good though too. It's good like teeny bop, pop, and rock,
Yeah, I'm surprised that that album wasn't bigger. Because I did like Guts.
Yeah.
It's very good. And then do you want me to just do a few more? One more?
Give me two more. Let's do it.
Tizo Touchdown, How Do You Sleep at Night? In the same sort of vein, it's a little bit older, young adult, but Tizo Touchdown I thought he'd take a few more risks with this album, but it's really good, polished, like pop punk, hip hop. He kind of genre hops.
Yeah. No, I've got this album in my car, and it has a great first song, but it definitely, I don't know, it feels like it loses steam a little bit throughout the thing. It definitely, like, that is someone on my radar, and I feel like 2 albums from now is going to be really important to me. That's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'll just say one more thing about the Tizo. The Tizo to me is what people thought the Lil Yachty was.
Oh, I like that. I like that a
You
lot.
know, like it's not like the riskiest, but you know, when you're like, if I was in high school or something, I probably think this was the most innovative shit.
Right.
But you know, when you're a little older and you've heard a bunch of albums, you're just like, you're not as wild, but even though you can really appreciate it for what it is, you know. That's how I felt about the Lil Yachty.
I am not a Yachty hater. Like I love the little boat.
I like Yachty. He's got some good shit.
But he knows what he did. He tried to make his own Awaken My Love and sneak it in. And we were like, nah, bro. We have Awaken My Love. You're good. Keep it moving.
I mean, it's a good album, but it wasn't this like groundbreaking, innovative shit that everybody was trying to like paint it as. And I don't like the chords of dissension that he likes to like. So you know what I mean? Like he likes to shit on hip hop, and I don't like that because he still be rapping.
Right. He's just a grumpy employee at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, and aren't we all? But still, it's like stop trying to act like there's no one taking risks in hip hop, because you're actually you're cool, but you're not taking the risks that you think you're taking. You know,
Yachty's in the break room, like sipping water from the water cooler, talking shit about everybody. But I mean, that's how he's rolling. Yeah. One more, and then
the last one for I guess this week.
Yep.
How dare you omit this one?
Oh,
Earl Sweatshirt and Alchemist Voir dire. Like, are you crazy?
Yeah. Whew.
So cohesive, so good, so tight. You know, it's not the riskiest from Earl, but sometimes I want very straightforward Earl.
Yeah.
And he gave it to me.
I did like it. I don't know that it was my favorite Alchemist production of the year.
Okay.
Alchemist this year, his production got a little bit sleepy. Okay. The Larry June, we're going to talk about the Larry June.
Right, yeah.
But other than that album with Mike and Wikey, like, I felt like Alchemist was the one I was least into of those three. Like, the other two were really putting it out there and stepping it up. And sometimes, you know how it is, like, DJ Muggs sometimes gives you sleepy projects that are a little bit sleepy. And I think Alchemist fell into that here and there in pockets.
Like too much indica?
Yeah. And but yeah, I liked it. I liked it when I heard it. I'm not the biggest Earl fan, but I liked it. And I respect that album. It's just, there's a lot out there. But
Earl's one of those guys who's really come, like we were talking about at the beginning of the show, he's really come into his own. I mean, I didn't get the pill of him when he first came out. Yeah. And I saw him live, but the last couple of things he's released, I've been enjoyable to me.
Yeah, there's some people out there who are like, I miss the old Earl. I do not miss the old Earl. I like where he's at right now.
Absolutely.
I like the like maturing and trying to figure out your voice in this new like age that you are. That's the honest way to do it, right? You don't want to be, shock rapping until you're 50. Like, that's a kind of a hard life. But the Insane Clown Posse are still out there, so it's good.
And Earl was on. He was on the Arm & Hammer song, right? Was that Earl? Am I remembering correctly?
Yeah. They were on his song last year, yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think what it says to me is that the underground community is strong, and I think Earl's a product. Like, when you hang around people who have exceptional talent, you're going to be able to refine your shit and be able to see your shit and see your art in a different way, and really grow it. So I think guys like Earl, I think Vince Staples was another one. Those are guys who are hanging around the right people.
Hugely influential. They all influence each other too. You can hear it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And another thing, Kay, you said that was really interesting, and I actually had like a little side note. Some artists, if you see them live before you kind of get into their studio music, in their album work. If you see them live and you're kind of like underwhelmed, it might kind of color how you receive their, their releases.
Sure.
That happens sometimes, and you kind of have to give them a little bit extra grace to, let them grow on you. Because I know that was a thing with like a lot of people would say that about like Earl's performance, like back in the day. Like it's gotten a lot better since then. But like he's a very chill performer, period. Right. He's kind of like a Jay-Z with it. Like motherfucker's not gonna jump around and do, they're not doing any of that,
And it can go the opposite way, right? Like I didn't have any investment in Rhyme Fest before I saw him live, right?
Oh yeah, and then his performances.
I saw him live, and I was like, oh wow, this is verse. So yeah, it can definitely work. You want to go to the top 50? Let's do it.
Yes.
All right. We'll go with, let me see here, five at a time and move up, right? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna give up 5. I'll give a little beat for each of those. So 50 is Season Opener by Currency and the Jet Life Crew. It is like a crew album. Headspace is number 49. That is by Air H31R. That consists of Jay Words and Masai. Then we got Heavy Vibrato at 48.
Fire.
Oh no, absolutely a crazy album. 47, Rule of Thumb, Rule 1 by E40. The first release in 3 years for E40. Hotel 1105 by DX2. And that's
Chicago.
So Chicago, great year for Chicago. I want to say, great year. Oof. But it's so some of these are affected by when they were released, right? To be honest, if Heavy Vibrato comes out earlier, it's probably higher in this list, right? Same with Rule of Thumb. I think Rule of Thumb is fantastic.
I'm a 40 Water fan to the death. I even spent some time in the Bay, so I'm 40 Water fan forever, So he's been consistent. He's consistent and he's quality, got quality features. So yeah, definitely belongs on the list.
And he's always coming with song concepts, right? He's always giving you interesting song concepts with different flows, different ideas that feed into how he's doing the hooks, and he's always playing around. It never feels like work, which I love. Headspace is really cool because Jay Words, production-wise, is a high BPM individual, right? Loves dance music, but loves salsa music and kind of has that mix, right? And Masai is like a very meditative MC who's always introspective and like kind of slowly going through. So hearing them forge together on their second album and it's just an interesting chemistry, and it works together. That they just get each other and they understand each other really well in a way that I don't think makes sense on paper stylistically, right? They just like when it becomes your homie, it's different, right? And you know how to work with that shit now. And I love their kinship and the relationship they explore on that album.
It's Black Girl Magic. It's fire. And that album has a pulse. It's got a real pulse to it,
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's got songs of very different lengths, right? 48 seconds, minute and a half. I would say don't let that fool you. Listen to what Masai is saying, and it's crazy.
Like Chris, of course, is just he always just crushes all his features, and he snaps them there.
Snapped on it. Season Opener is dope to me. I had to give a nod because there was also a great Currency album called Vices with Harry Fraud this year. Currency's had a great year, and I think maybe might even Zilla Rocker from Philly pointed out, what's cool about Currency is he never has to fit into the market.
He's another one that's probably going to be kind of giving you the same sort of, you know, world of content forever. You know, I could see him being 50 and 60, still rapping about, you know, having a nice home and nice cars and smoking the best weed and people still enjoying it, you know.
And but there's like a bar. I was on the season opener we was talking about like my son's gonna be the baddest motherfucker ever because I am, you know, like and so he can take the jet life philosophy and apply it to new things as he gets older.
Yeah,
but
sure.
yes, it's going to be the same philosophy, and he doesn't have to, because he's taken the time to curate what he's doing. He doesn't have to change it. He doesn't have to do drill sounds. He doesn't have to, you know, flip.
And
what
he
he's
can
doing.
if he wants to. Like he might give it to you, you know. Just you can tell he's very like he's open to things in the studio. Like it brings to mind the album with Jermaine Dupri. It's like, you know, he finds a way to find his pockets and fits into, you know, whatever beat he's kind of riding. So
I mean, and he's got one of the best ears as well. So he knows
incredible ear
he knows what he sounds good on.
Absolutely. Great
and that's this whole crew, right? This whole crew has crazy ears for beats. And by the way, the season opener, Fiend, just destroys the hooks.
Yeah.
Just destroys the hooks. Fendi P is going hard in the paint as this kind of utility player. It's a real complete thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a producer compilation. It's a crew compilation. Mm-hmm. So these are people who believe in each other and are in the bunker with each other. And I love it. I love hearing it.
Currency is definitely big on putting people on, and I respect that a lot.
Absolutely. With heavy vibrato. So here's my Elzai thing, right? Elzai is a super rapper. Rapper. Elzai's rapping than I am at anything. It totally is fine. But listening to Elzai can sometimes be like eating too many saltines, right? It can be a very dry experience. So that everybody's got strengths and weaknesses, right? Elzai's weakness is sometimes there just isn't enough kind of fun happening. Oh No is a lot of fun because Oh No is a wild individual, and so the production is so flavorful that it leads you back to the lyrics. This is some of his best stories. He's telling stories on this. He's just killing it. It's
fire.
I learn more every time I listen to him.
Elzai is he's dense, man. Like
yes.
He's not letting, you know, it's kind of like an Eminem thing in that respect.
Right.
Where like he's just gonna fucking pummel you with bars, you know? It's gonna be a lot to ingest. So, you know, with an Elzai project, there's always gonna be, it really takes a few listens because you're just not gonna catch everything he's talking about.
No, but the production's got to hit for you to stay locked in that world, and it really does. Oh No, I think Oh No is a very underrated producer.
I very much agree.
I think Oh No's affiliation with Madlib has eclipsed him a little bit, and I think that sucks. I think he has his own legacy. So Hotel 1105 is an awesome album.
Jazzy.
DX2 from Chicago, and when he was with us, he hung out with us this year, talked about the album, and he was like, my marriage fell apart during this album.
Oh shit.
And you know, that's why I pointed out this is the best song on the album. This is your lyrical height. And he's like, that's when I was most interrogating myself, you know, about what was going on. And I was like, I'm so happy that you have that, right? That having that as an artist is amazing. It's an amazing catharsis if you can let it be that. So, and fans love that shit because we're all going through weird shit too. you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a dope album because it's not, the sonics are really spacious while he is interrogating himself. It's
Lot,
such a real
lot
cool.
going on, a lot of good musicians and live shit going on. It's good stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Anything, Kay, from that group that you wanted to talk about?
No, I mean, I think you covered it, but the highlights from that were definitely the Hotel 1105
Love that.
and season opener.
Yep. Yep. I love season over as well. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that.
For me.
So the next group, right? We'll do the next 5 here. The Land is Inhospitable, and So Are We by Mitski, 45. 44, Masego by Masego. 43, The Fall Collection by Hemlock Ernst and Hype Keach. Big Lebowski, The Story of Eastside Jesus by Teller Banks. And Arc Flashington by AJ Suede.
Right.
So, talking about that. Oh, someone, I got a story for you about this. So, I put on the Fall Collection in my car, right? My son is 10 years old. There's not a lot of swearing in it. I figured I'd get away with it. I put it on in the car. From the back seat, my son says, "Is this Sage Francis?" I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, I didn't even think about that shit. My wife's like, "Oh yeah, definitely sounds very Sage-like." I was like, "Man, my son is calling shit out right now." That is some indie rap shit right there. But yeah, I like that album. It's really dope. Hype Keach does a lot of like psychedelic beats that really move. They're kind of old school party beats, like
Yeah, the beats are hard.
So, and it pushed Hemlock Ernst into pushed the momentum for him. So I like this album. It moves really well. But yes, very much in that Sage genre. This Mitski album, I'm not going to say I was disappointed in it because it's a great album. It's number 45. But Mitski is such an important artist. I kind of wanted this album to be more and have a little more bite to it. But it's an album that you make when you're in a very specific place. Yeah. So this is,
it's fire. It's fire. I could see like with Mitski and her work and it being important to so many people and like her bops and stuff. It's like you could really argue which, what albums are better and things like that.
Yep.
There's some fire. I mean, her writing is sharp, it's poignant. She has this way of having a heartbreaking delivery.
Oh yeah.
Really like giving it to you, like, and then the music, dips into sometimes even country territory, hard rock. She genre hops a lot. It's good.
I love the first song. The first song is real dope. Like it has like a chorus that pumps in right at a crazy time. Lyrically, like she's just a really good album planner.
Right. Yeah.
And she knows how to push the right buttons in the right places. An incredible talent. So, even if it's not my favorite Mitski album, it's still going to be in my top 50 because you can't deny how good she is. Yeah. The Masego I lived with all year. The Masego, it's I don't know why I was just so fascinated by this. Is like a mid-tempo, like R&B dance hall album that's an acoustic guitar album. And that's not something you find everywhere. It's a real, so it was a real vibe for me. I was always putting this on because it moves enough, and it has like a Suzanne Vega kind of reimagining on it. It's just a real dope record, real confident record. There's real weird skits on it about like cheating on people.
Yeah. He's hot in the pants, ain't he?
Yeah. but like in a classical R&B way of like,
oh man,
you know, that's this guy's incorrigible. You know, that kind of nonsense. So Keith, how did you take the Masego all year? Did you get into that?
Not all year, but I do remember talking about it. I did like it. I mean, Masego was one of those guys where he's one of those artists where you feel like he can do anything.
Yeah.
Like if he said he was gonna do a country album, I'd be like, okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just good music.
Yes, the guy's very talented.
He's good at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Lebowski, The Story of East Side Jesus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Teller Banks. I think this is the best Teller Banks of the year. It's stunning in terms of, I think he produced all of it. And you know, he has real quiet, calm moments where he's like introspective and he's thoughtful. And it's heart-wrenching. And then he has, you know, when he gets his dander up and his flow keeps moving, it's something special. Like he has a different way of forming his thoughts, rapping, where he will like throw out a phrase everybody throws out, twist it one way, analyze it, twist it another way, reanalyze it, and it feels like he's having a conversation with himself while you're in the room. And I always love that. Yeah, one of my favorite flows in rap, I think. So, yeah, yeah. Oh man, and we got to interview Suede. Suede's released what 5 projects this year? I think something like that.
I feel like I wrote it down. I think it's 4, but that's still so many.
Yeah.
That's still so many.
Steel Tip Dove. Yeah, he did the one with Steel Tip Dove. He's indie music to start out the year. Yeah, he's
great ear for beats.
Televangel, Parthenon Shots. Yeah. So, and I got a chance to sit with him and say, my favorite is Art Flashington. Like Art Flashington is fantastic, and he produced it himself. And there's something about when Suede produces himself where he gets to really just go as weird as he wants in whatever direction he wants. I love it.
He got kind of orchestral on this one.
Yeah.
Little, you know, like major chords, warm tones. It's good stuff.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. It's just like it has like a 70s like radio feel to it, like of how it sounds to me. Yeah, I like that a lot. The so far from we're at 50 to 41. Did any of these stand out to you some?
Standouts?
Yep.
From 41 to 50, I would say the Mitski.
Yep.
The Elzai and Oh No. And the Headspace.
Beautiful.
Gave me moments where I was just like, oh, like it was like something I wasn't expecting. And I'm not saying that any of the others were like, oh, this is what I expected, because I never expect, you know, Teller Banks, he goes all over the place. Sway goes all over the place. In a good way, you know.
Yeah.
They experiment and take risks, and I appreciate them for it. But those albums, I would say really stood out to me.
Yeah. Free flowing organisms, you know. Yeah. Okay.
So
any stand?
I want to ask. So, what would you say is in this tier of the list? What would you say are some of the characteristics of the albums that put them in this place in the list for you?
So for me, like I said, some of these they just came out too late. So they would be higher, right? We talked about some of those, and some of them, like Hotel 1105, was higher at points, Masego was higher, but more came out and it pushed it down the list. So some of these are old favorites and some of these are new favorites. You know, it's this is that part of the list where it's like, you know,
like they had to be on there somewhere, kind of thing.
Yeah, it had to be on there. And like some of them, like season opener,
Sure,
is there to symbolize how good a year it was for, you know, for Currency, right? It brings all the positive things in one spot. So, yeah, and undeniable talent. Like I would feel bad not having Mitski on this list. That would be weird, right? Like it's a great album, and she's great. So it had to be there. Yeah. So it's amorphous. Let's see, let's go to the next 5 here. Echo the Diamond by Margaret Glaspie. Don't Forget Me Bluest by Andrew. 14K Figaro by Wiki and Tony Seltzer. With a Hammer by Yeji. And The King by Ajimile, I believe. Sam, what do you want to talk about first?
you want to just go in order?
Yeah, we can do that. So Echo the Diamond is I love Margaret Glaspie. She had an album 2 years ago called Emotions and Math. Just really nasty kind of sounds with her crazy like songwriting and a interesting voice. And I loved it. And then last year she came out with another album called Devotion that was very pretty. And I was like, I think I like the nasty one better. Like, and so this was a return. Echo the Diamond is more of her sharp, angry mind at work. Irish Goodbye, you know, Female Brain. My wife loves Female Brain. So there's a lot of, she's an interesting songwriter.
Yeah.
And so I hook into that. That's another theme of this list, Kay, is really interesting songwriting. Like there was people talk about how women are propping up hip hop and propping up rock music. A lot of it is because of really interesting songwriting. They're just outworking people at writing interesting songs. And Margaret Glaspie, this album, Echo the Diamond, is a great example of that, I'd say. What do you get? Oh, so Don't Forget Me Bluest is one of the best solo Andrew albums of the year. It kind of has all the cool shit you love about Andrew. He's a great producer, so he picks these really interesting soul samples and really gets the most out of them, like Living Blues. But he also just makes nasty anthems with other rappers. When he gets another rapper on his track, he tends to make the most of it, you know, which I can't tell you enough about. I think that's super cool. Andrew listens to everything the way we do, so he knows what people are good at and what people's strengths are. So you can really hear that on like Novella with Love Ulysses and okay,
now that Rolodex.
Yeah, yeah, the Rolodex. You know, You Need Friends Part 2 is crazy. Brian Ennals smashes that. Like, so he's got a great ear and a great work ethic. He put out a lot of music this year, and he's one of the most interesting people writing choruses in underground rap, right? Because his choruses can get real weird. In ways you're like, I've never heard anybody say that. Of course, you know, like he doesn't believe in the limits of that, of what your hook can be. So yeah, I love this project. And Andrew does our theme song for State of the Game. So shout out to Andrew.
Absolutely.
14K Figaro is so I was a big like No Mountains in Manhattan Waikiki fan, like that was my jam. And he was like, he had rap songs about playing handball and shit. It was amazing. And then he took a very introspective turn and people loved it. He did the album Half God with Navy Blue, and I was all torn about it. I was like, Roof is a great song, but I kind of miss my handball guy. Like I kind of miss, the homie here. Like what this album is one of those, like, all the lessons you learned in one. It's propulsive. I described the beats are like beats I would have given to the Locks. Like they're crazy beats. And Wiki is like, he's doing everything on him. He's romancing women, he's plotting revenge, he's thinking about his childhood, he's talking about how he used to, dress up like a leprechaun when he was 7 years old. Like everything about his life is in here somewhere over the nastiest beats you can imagine. Bangers. Like he's musing about life over bangers. It's like, it's crazy. So I love this album. Okay, did you hear this one?
No, I did not. This is one of the ones I did not hear.
Okay. You got to check it out, man. It's a hell of a trip. Tony Seltzer's had a great year. Crazy producer.
And beats are really like busy and lush.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on. They're good.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the album overall?
I kind of like some of his other projects better.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a trunk rattler. I was listening to it in the car and it was perfect. And it rides. My jam on that one would be the RL, the great low head song.
Yep.
Weed song. Sometimes he's on the nose with shit, but he'll nail it.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. My laundry is beeping. I have to yell right quick. Hold on.
Understood.
All right.
Understood. No, it's there's a lot going on there. And the cool thing about what he's done, is he's established different lanes, right? So if you like the kind of more introspective shit, the more somber stuff, he's got you on that. If you like bangers, he's got bangers, the fried ice cream with Z loopers and all that. So he's really in a bunch of directions at once. It's dope. And credit always growing. So the last one, no, sorry, yeah, we got to talk about With the Hammer by Yeji.
Oh man,
this wasn't even on the list 2 weeks ago. Wasn't even on the list 2 weeks ago. I was thinking about what the best albums are when I first started thinking, well, you got to tighten this up for the end of the year. I couldn't stop thinking about this album. Throughout the year, I would just be like, With a Hammer, and shake my head. To me, it might be the most interesting production of the year.
It's so funny because I was listening to so much music, the last few weeks, trying to make sure that I could speak about a lot of this list intelligently. The Yeji, I just happened to be listening to it in headphones, and I was so happy that I was listening to it that way, because it's got, these just high-pitched voice that just cuts through these danceable pop, house, hip-hop moment. It's so good. It's so good. I hadn't heard of her before, actually, so I was pleasantly, as soon as it came on, I was just like, and I think it starts with flutes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he does like flutes. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, it took me a while to admit that I liked this album. I just thought it was out there and wild, and I had respect for it, but I was like, respect for it from a distance. And then after a while, no, you love this. You've been listening to this a lot. You got to just put this on the fucking list. So I'm very happy.
When she just starts singing in Korean, it's just I don't know what she's saying right now, but it's still fire. That's how you know it's good, when you don't understand the language and you're still just no, this is great.
I put this on, okay, and my wife was like, shut that off. This is what is going on. Stop it. It was, and that's how you know it's really doing what it wanted to do. Uh, The King by Ajumile. I love this album, and I think this should be on more people's lists. The first song is nuts. There's like choral intermingling. It has incredible like personal songs about the family, but an incredible like song about racism. There's a lot of great songs about racism this year. That's another thing. Animal is awesome. I love Animal.
That's on my list of jams for that album.
Yeah. They covered it. It was covered this year. But this is just a beautiful album. It's kind of folk, but it's a lot of other things too. And it's just really interesting. And one of my favorite covers of 2023. Beautiful. So moving
for both Dan and someone.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your like the way that you ranked music has differed from like the last years? Like, has your taste in music evolved?
Ooh.
I think my taste in music has evolved a bit even this year by the whole Audio Tree gig. Because I host these live performances, these sessions where I'm just it's like I feel like I'm in the cockpit and like these wonderful bands play in front of me. And I hear them play after I listen to their music for like, a week or two, just slamming their music. And then I get to like be in a small studio with them performing live. So I just get this full experience. And it made me really like reappreciate, all different genres of music. Cause I'm a, hip hop head till I die, but hip hop can also, because you like, if you have a propensity to like boom bap or just kind of like barring out and good loops or whatever, sometimes that can be limiting, right? So when you listen to music outside of that, I think your taste can become a little bit more refined. I think ever since I was like a kid, I listened to like everything, people say they listen to everything, but I mean, now there's so much music, and, sometimes as consumers, we get kind of pigeonholed into what we like. So I think that like evolved, yes, but my taste, I think, has just been, I would say, more refined in the last like year or so.
Yeah, I would say my taste has grown, but it's artist by artist. It's very painful. Okay. Like I'm just constantly like biased against certain things and being proved wrong. Like, and I'm just constantly accepting like, oh shit, okay. Like there's so many artists on this list that not only weren't there last year, but I shook my fist at, was like, I'll never like them, and they're on this list. It's like I'm constantly throwing my presumptions out and being like, all right, I'm gonna listen to this fresh and see what happens. And I'm constantly being surprised and seeing other dimensions of what's happened. So yeah.
Staying open-minded and then giving it the intentional listen and giving it the time, which becomes harder, right? In this like go world, capitalism on your neck, all that. Giving albums and full bodies of work and projects the attention that it deserves, that has also become something that is, that attention currency is really important, because there's just so much music, so much content. So yeah, like it's easy to become limiting. And like you said, like you got to be open for an artist to possibly surprise you. You also got to be open maybe for an artist to maybe disappoint you.
Right. And you got to be able to call it. You got to be able to be like, I'm not going to hitch myself to this. This is not enough. But I've gotten better at knowing something's there, even if I don't get it yet, and being like, I'm gonna stay with this, you know.
Sure, give it another listen, maybe,
yeah.
you know. Yeah.
Put it in my back pocket, you know, like so yeah, so going forward here, we're at the woo. So the answer is always yes by Alex Leahy. This is
Yep.
fun Australian pop punk, right?
It's a good time.
And it's a kind of a breakup album, but it's kind of a 90s breakup album. Like our breakup albums were fun, like too. And
It's
fun to
giving me
listen to.
big 90s rock vibes. That
Yes.
first song almost gives me a Sheryl Crow, like that first song. What's the name of it? Good Time. You know, it even
Yep,
kind of
yep.
reminds me, all I wanna do is have some fun.
That's a great point. But yeah, that's a genuine that seems like a pop star to me, like someone who makes pop music that the world should be enjoying, because so fun to listen to. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of that one, but it's it's a fun listen.
Yeah.
And it's sandwiched right next to Permanently Blackface, the first expression by Luca, which is not an
A little different, you know,
yeah.
slightly.
But I think it's one of the smartest albums I've heard this year. I wrote about it just in terms of that transition between the two Getting Pulled Over songs.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that is a masterpiece, right? Like hip hop's important because it builds empathy with people that you don't know and can't connect with, right? So when you go from a colored night to a black man's worst fear, like as a white person, you should be able to understand a little bit better now. A little bit, you know? And that's the power of this music, and that's the power of this genre. And somebody was saying, Sun Ra was on the Crate 808, and he was like, this album is smart, but it's not pretentious.
That's a good point. I mean, he's got a very descriptive flow.
Yep.
The flow is sometimes reminiscent of some Freddie Gibbs-ish, but that's no shade, you know what I mean? Like it's a kind of a rapid fire flow.
Yeah.
Song titles are vivid, some good ass like black man rap, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Smooth ass fly beats, you know, get cinematic at times.
And the good thing is, I understand for a lot of white people, they might listen to this and feel uncomfortable. I was raised on Scarface and Public Enemy, so this was my natural wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, Ice Cube.
Let's go. Like, yeah, this is great.
Fucking snowflakes.
Right. Come on, lock in. So I went on that, and oh man, Sufjan Stevens' Javelin. That is exactly somebody I was talking about, Kay. I've never listened to Sufjan Stevens regularly. I've always thought this is a good songwriter and stuff, but this is a heck of a downer. You know, I don't want to deal with this. And this album comes out of like the death of his partner, and it's more tragedy, but it's really beautiful. It's really beautifully handled.
Masterful shit.
Yeah.
It's fire.
Oof.
So I'm wondering, what do you look for in like a tragic album?
I mean, you know what I like? I like when like and Sufjan does that in this album, right? He gets like spiritual, but it may or may not be about like a specific religion or deity. And tragic albums to me kind of toe that line of like these big existential questions, you know, the really like yelling into the void, why, you know, you're asking these questions, these rhetorical big existential questions, but you're making it sound just so attractive, painful, and beautiful. And it takes a real skill for it to not just be just sad and blubbery, but to also have just like these glimmers of hope, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I love a good heartbreak album. I mean, just a Left Turn, like Igor comes to mind with the, really good, just tapping into those feelings we've all felt, the kind of shit that, like I didn't know that he lost his partner,
right,
during the making of this album. That gives it even another kind of like depth and strength to it. But yeah, unfortunately, tragedy brings about some of the best fucking music.
It really does.
It fucking sucks that that's the case, but it's true.
Really does. I mean, but yeah, and my answer, I guess, would be Kay, that you still have to surprise, right? I want you to dig as far as you want to dig. I still need you to surprise, right? And this is an album that still surprises you. A Running Start is a really crazy song, and it's really does set the tone for how many directions you're going to go. And Javelin is 1 minute and 52 seconds, and the next song is 8 minutes and 31 seconds.
Yeah,
and it's necessary. It has to be that way. Like that's really dope. Yeah, that's an album. I don't know. If I could talk about 2023 without talking about Javelin, So yeah. Then there was Voice Notes by Yasmin Lacey, UK Neo Soul. Re-listening to this week, made me feel even better because I have not seen this in other people's lists. And so
you're like, I'm putting you on.
I'm like, well, after a while, I'm like, am I crazy? This is really good, right? And so
Black Girl Magic again in a whole different way, like
crazy.
Soulful, jazzy, electronic, R&B. It's good stuff.
Oh man, Late Night People is super dope.
Late Night People's great.
Thanks.
Pass It Back. That she's got like almost some D'Angelo-y moments in a good way. It's good stuff.
I was thinking there were definitely Badu pockets that I felt like, oh, this is kind of a Badu vibe here. Yeah. So it's a long album, but it's a beautiful album, and it's that neo soul stuff. It's great. Oh man, 66689 Boulevard prequel, Kip Stone. Kay, talk to me about your memories of this album and talking to Kip.
I mean, he's one of and that's another thing we were talking about Earl's Sweatshirt. I think the young artists nowadays, they're smarter than like the kids that preceded them, like in the 90s and early 2000s. And what I mean by that is they're aware of not only like their business side, but I also think they're aware of their career, and they're more strategic, and they're more aware of the strategy involved with their career. And I think Kip I was really taken aback by how strategic he was, and how deliberate he was, and how thoughtful he was, and not only in terms of the music, but in terms of his career as well.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You can tell he's a student of the game for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. And a great flow, and I love the hooks on this project. Like the skills are really coming together, multiple skills kind of at once. The production has really opened up, from the earlier albums, and there's grooves now, and it's funkier. I think it's just really cool. To see that.
And it was just so deliberate about, the risk that he wanted to take, like what direction that he wanted to go on. And you can hear that definitely in this project.
Yeah, dude. Yep. And then number 30 is Lone Star Luchador. That Mexican OT. I've been banging that shit all year.
One of my favorites. It probably been higher on my list.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I love that album. And I have a crush on dude. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the hair. I don't know if there's a raging coke addiction. Who knows what it is?
There's something about that flow and about how he rolls.
He's fire. He does the fucking R. He rolls his R's.
Yes.
He's very fast. He has concepts. He's silly as all fuck.
Silly as fuck.
And then like he'll give you, and then he gave you like the New York one, like I could really rap joint, you know, where he proved it. He's like, no, I can really rap. I can stay on topic, and you know, I'm not just like a party fuck boy type of dude. Like,
I'm so glad that
a lot of range, and he can sing.
Yes, he can sing. I'm so glad you connected with this album. My pitch is this, right? Because Maxo Cream's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah, that Maxo's great.
That Maxo Cream joint between the two of them, I'm like, I need an album.
Oh yeah, it makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah,
Maxo needs a little bit of silliness in his.
For sure, man. It's like lighten up, guy. Like damn.
Yeah, the darkness.
You can tell he's silly though, because like he did that song with Tyler.
That's
like,
right. That's
gotta be silly. Yeah, he like his interviews. You can tell he's silly, but yeah, in the music, he's pretty fun. He's very serious on the mic. I would
love that chemistry, that dynamic. I just think that would be awesome. So, yeah, that Mexican OT. I was so surprised because I really believe the K Diggy that I started this podcast with would not have liked that album. It would have been like, "What is this crap?" And you were able to, you saw the vision. You said, you know what? This is not my thing, but this is good shit.
Right. It's like you said, we have to think about what the artist was trying to achieve.
Right.
And what were they setting out to do, and did they do what they wanted to do? And he did what he wanted to do.
He nailed the concept there.
Yeah.
Yep. So I got my rant. I got my Golem of Brooklyn. Def C, Messiah Music. Messiah Music spelled with as many Z's as your heart desires. So the Golem of Brooklyn is really important to me. I think Def C had said something like that this wasn't like his best year or whatever, in terms of, I don't know, exposure or whatever. To me, it's been a very important year for Def C because, and I swear on the first listen I heard this, right? What he did with this soundtrack was he took a pre-existing book, which, by the way, amazing book. Everybody should read The Golem of Brooklyn. And he took a pre-existing book, fictional story with vividly rendered characters, and he wrote songs from each of those individual characters' perspectives. He had to nail the voice and write in the Golem's voice, you know? And the Golem is a very specific character in that book. And then he has one that's like in the voice of a racist policeman who's going to be an important character in the story. Like he's able to as a writer, that's a heck of a challenge, right? And Def C like really happily took that on and did great service to that book and grew as a writer, because Def C's, it's different to write about your life, right? You know, writing about your life, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's certainly easier because you lived through it and you were there and you could see it in your mind. But to inhabit these other characters and other voices and do them in a way that fits what you know, that what everybody knows about them, is a real challenge. Most rappers don't do, right? They just don't have to. And so that was real growth. And I think Def C grew as a writer this year, and is better at rapping now than he was because of this project. Yeah.
I mean, again, do you want to go? Okay.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, and the fact that the source material, it wasn't, he didn't write it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, that makes it even more remarkable that, because, and what he's saying is that this is his interpretation of that source material, and it's got to be in line enough where people can make the connection between the two.
Yep.
I did not read the book, but the album was, I understood it. I understood what the story was. I understood what was going on. I believe reading the book obviously would make the album go even harder. It's a very dope concept, and doing an album based on a book is raw, and it is very challenging. Def C's a great writer, has always been a great writer. I think as a rapper, he's growing.
Right.
Like I said, again, it's Chicago, so I'm gonna be biased, but it reminds me, this album kind of reminds me of another album that came out this year that is not on your list, which is fine. It's because it's not on my list either. But he's also a great writer. It's Sky Zoo. He did an album with the other guys called The Mind of a Saint, which him embodying Franklin Saint from Snowfall. And he nails that concept too. And when I was listening to the Golem of Brooklyn, it reminded me of The Mind of a Saint and how dense it is and how difficult, like as far as like challenging yourself as a rapper and as a writer, that's high on the difficulty scale. So props and respect to Def C and to Messiah Music. It's a good album.
Yeah, no, there was Sky Zoo has done that for a while, inhabiting kind of other characters and other things. Sky Zoo, Kay, I don't know if I've ever told you, he's the one he changed how I felt about LeBron James.
I didn't know that. I didn't hear that story.
Sky Zoo and Ill Mind have a song. It's off the album Live from the Tape Deck. It's called Decision, where Sky Zoo inhabits LeBron, like, and explains why LeBron does the decision. And it's incredibly intelligent, and it's really well done. And I was like, "Fuck, I never thought about it that way." And I was like, "I didn't."
Powerful writing, get your change of mind about LeBron.
I didn't hate on LeBron after that. I was like, oh, "Okay, I feel you. So it was like, yeah. So that can be very powerful. And also, there's a personal thing. As a Jewish person, this is the most Jewish rap album ever. The Golem Brooklyn. It inhabits everything about Judaism that I was taught. This is the Judaism I know. To include the criticism of Judaism and the Confederate flags over
Confederate flags in Tel Aviv is a very smart, very it gives you that feeling like it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, my joke was, how could it be the most Jewish rap album of all time if it didn't end with criticizing Jewish people? It has to be.
I mean,
it has to be. So Gold by Cleo Soul, that's one of those. I was raised, Kay, with Mariah Carey in cutoff shorts running through fields singing ballads. I was raised with short hair Tony Braxton. You know what I mean? And this is that music. This is that kind of music.
I mean, Cleo Soul has been having a crazy year. I feel like she dropped 2 albums this year. Heaven and Gold.
Heaven and Gold, absolutely.
And she's gutting. Like, you listen to gutting soul, piano ballads.
Yep.
Just, it's one of those artists who remind you it's not all doom and gloom, and there's sacred moments to be had and cherished.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for her as an artist, because like she's definitely like, it doesn't have to be tragic, right? But it gives you that feeling where you could just sob, Like I definitely was like at some points was like, damn, what's this in my eye? Like, damn,
But there's interesting sounds on this. Interesting like sways. There was it Reminiscence or something? I was trying to think of which one it was. But like where I was like, is this kind of a reggae feel? Like
she goes some places on this one.
She goes some interesting places on this. Yeah, it's a Reason. I think it's Reason. Where it's like a real kind of reggae feel to it. the cover, and the kind of brightness to the cover, and the personalness. This is like definite the water to your face. That's how this album really feels. Yeah. So I love this album. But I'm an R&B guy, old head. This gives me that Mariah Carey unplugged energy. So
yes, fire.
Gabe Nandez Pangea, which was another Tony Seltzer thing. Gabe has one of my favorite flows in the world. It's like Gabe and Solar 5 are so fucking cool to hear do anything, that sometimes there'll be big albums that come out and I'll just text my friends and be like, I'd rather listen to Solar 5, I'd rather listen to, Gabe Nandez.
Oh, so that's why Drake's not on here.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have the room. Gabe Nandez is there. Yeah. Keith, I had to. So we got this exercise bike right next to my office. It never gets used, and I was like, I got to use this thing because I'm cheap, and this feels like it's losing value. And so I was like, what am I going to listen to while I'm running on this thing? Pangea was the answer to that shit. Like, let's do that, and it worked out quite well. It's an indie rap album that discusses the pandemic, that discusses the drug trade, but it's also you can work out to that shit. It's nasty. So I love that.
Really good beats on there.
Oh, Tony Seltzer. We're gonna talk about so the 26th, the barrier between the top 25, right?
Right.
The benchmark.
Benchmarks.
Quaranta. Danny Brown.
Should be higher.
I love Quaranta. I do feel like it would be higher if it had come out out
earlier. Yeah. No, I feel you on that.
If it had come out like 2 months earlier, I would have had a deeper relationship to it because I'm just now kind of digging into how dope this is. Like,
I love me a redemption arc, man. So it's like Danny Brown was one of the wilder drug rappers we had, some years back. And, while I think sometimes, we were talking about earlier, do you feel an obligation to give your fans what you want? Well, in like the case of like a Danny Brown kind of rapper, like, well, you're gonna die if you keep going down this road. Like, you're gonna give us some good drug raps, but you're gonna die. So like, how do we balance this out?
Last year we did this with Dylan Green, and our benchmark at 26, I believe, was Ramona Park Broke My Heart by Vince Staples. And I still bumped that album, and I'm like, fuck, I should have put this higher. Like, like it's so that definitely could be the case with Quaranta because it kind of gives you everything you want. I wrote about Bass Jam because I think Bass Jam is one of the most important songs of this year. It's just really, really beautiful, and it's really smart, but it doesn't explain itself. It kind of just gives you the scene, and you understand what's so smart about it. It's about the intuitive, communicative power of music and how it like heals situations even when the people can't. It's so beautiful. And but also has
great closer.
It also has that Bruiser Brigade group cut.
Bruiser Wolf, holy shit.
Filth.
What a crazy song.
By the way, Bruiser Wolf is my most anticipated album. Like, there's no album I want more than a new Bruiser Wolf album. So
yeah, that'll be good.
I'm into it. But yeah, that's my top 50 to 26. Okay. Kay, do you have any questions or stuff to add about that stuff?
No, I'm just looking forward to the top 25. That was a really diverse list.
Crazy. And I'll tell you the stats. I think women were 28% of the top 50, and they're 40% of the top 10.
Okay.
So it's if you don't have women on your list, you need to get a new list. If your list is all dudes, you need to rejigger.
In 2023, if your list is all dudes, it's like, come on. I mean, even though you didn't have no Sexy Red on this list, I was gonna put her on there for a troll because I enjoyed her album, but I also spent a lot of time like I do a big gauge of like gym albums. Does this ride in the gym? And like you do the gym test and then car test, the about to go to the club and get ratchet test. It's like checks all those boxes, but I mean,
I like it. I like Sexy Red. To me, I think women in that pop
I'm
space,
pressing you on Sexy Red. That's
women in that pop space get overanalyzed to a crazy degree, right? There's think pieces going on. There's people, oh, it's terrible. And you're like, you got to give these people time to grow, right? Like, I don't think Cardi B was that good a rapper when she broke.
Oh, God, no, she's not a good rapper.
But I think she's better than she ever has been.
Yeah, she's a better technically, she's got a little bit of a mush mouth still, and then there's the language barrier thing, but I think it's endearing. But technically, she's a much better rapper than she was when she started.
So I think a lot of people go through that. If you hit big early on, you don't get the chance to develop privately. So you're developing in the public space. So you may think Coi Leray sounds weird. Well, Coi Leray's young, bro. Like she's getting it together.
She's gonna be around. I think she's gonna be around for a while.
I'm with you. But those people get overanalyzed. So I'm kind of sitting back, waiting for Sexy Red to catch my attention in a serious way. We'll see. That'll happen in the future. You want to do recommendation corner, or is there any closing thoughts on the list? I got to recommend. Ooh. So, recommendation corner. We're talking about it. We're talking about artists that I wasn't able to figure out. One of them is a man named Mike. I've never been a Mike fan. He always sounds like he's reading a grocery list.
Is the artist Mike, or is the artist a man named Mike?
The artist is just named Mike.
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 He's got the white.
A man named Mike would be a better name than just Mike. But I've never been a fan, but smart people were like, you got to give him a shot. He's great. By the way, I've heard every Mike album that's come out. I've tried to get into it.
Yeah.
But Burning Desire is dope. Burning Desire is real dope. I really like the new album Burning Desire, and it kind of clicked. It all clicked together, and I'm like, oh, I get this, and I fuck with this. This is really good.
That's how I felt about Boldy James. Like, I started to love Boldy James about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I've always been aware of him, right? And knew that he was good at rapping.
Yep.
But for some reason, it just wasn't it wasn't clicking for me. And it was just so funny. I was recording my own project, and I was out in Brooklyn. And a friend of mine was like, I got this weed a lot cheaper than the other guy. And I said, let me take this 2-hour train ride and go get this weed. And I put on the Bo Jackson.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was listening to it in the subway in Brooklyn on my way to get weed. And I was like, I get it now. I've been a huge Boldy James fan ever since.
Yeah, no.
Sometimes you can acknowledge and respect that someone's really good, right? But it's not necessarily for you, and you don't necessarily get it yet, or maybe it's just not your bag. But yeah, it's nice when it starts to click into place. You're like, oh, okay, this person's amazing. It's just this very niche area that they occupy.
I was explaining to someone when my first chemistry set came out in 2013, I listened to it and I was like, this guy sounds like he hates rapping. He sounds like he wants to be released. Like he's a kid waiting for the bell at school, But yeah, Price T in China, it was like Alchemist taught me how to love Boldy. I was like, oh, okay, I get this now. Absolutely the same with Mike. The other one, this is somebody who I think is a real talent that is going to be important in the future. There's named Ratman Gavin from Cape Town, South Africa. It has an album with Clouded Slum called "To Live and Die in Any Given Place." It's actually an EP, 6 songs.
Okay.
And it's super dope. Ratman Gavin is super dope. Crazy, crazy flow, crazy choruses, a talent, a real live talent. So I'm very excited for that EP, and that he's such a dope individual, and yeah, part of that collective, man. We had him on this year with Slumber Logic and Trey does, so yeah, it was great. Yeah. Kay, do you have any recommendations?
No, not this week.
Yep. Kay always just recommends vasectomies and keeps it moving. Someone
Can't go wrong.
Someone, do you have any recommendations for the people?
Yeah, I'll just pull from the list that I
go for it.
List I have. The Cookie Kawaii, really good Jersey Club Soda Volume 3. Aja Monet, also from Chicago, the When the Poems Do What They Do. Spoken word poetry leans into hip hop, but I think really important for the spoken word community, and just really good music, not necessarily rapping on a beat, but just fucking slamming you with bars,
I've added that to the list. That's dope. The cover's dope.
Cover is fucking some of my favorite art of the, and again, I'm so biased when it comes to Chicago people, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But Chicago's had a great year in music, just all encompassing all genre. A lot of Chicago on your list for next week too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a place that we care about dearly, in terms of the music and in terms of everything. It's my son's favorite place outside of Maine. So not bad.
So, as someone from Chicago, what would you say makes Chicago so special musically?
I've spoken about this quite a bit with folks, and I think it's because of the Great Migration, and us being kind of like almost like a third coast sort of thing. We're definitely part of the Great Lakes. We're right smack dab in the middle of the country, and so many people during the Great Migration moved here from places like Mississippi, Tennessee, and these super Memphis, these super southern places, right, that have their own great music legacies. And then all these folks moved to Chicago. So we have so much flavor here. Like, there are people in Chicago too, like, that sound southern as fuck, like they sound like they could be from like the South.
Right.
But they're from Chicago. There's so many different accents. I think it's just a gumbo of influences of musical styles, because like it just doesn't stop with hip hop. Like house music, obviously, blues, jazz, rock music. We got some of the best rock bands and rock acts that come out of Chicago. It's just, there's just so much history here, so much American history here, so much Black history here. I think that all like creates just this like super melting pot of styles, Yeah,
when we were in Chicago, we were visiting, we visited the Stax Records like place, and Chess Records, yeah, and saw the blue stuff. So I explained to my son the migration and how that changed, and how that made Chicago the center of blues, and so it's just something everybody should know if you're going to know about American history, you can't ignore Chicago for that long. Yeah, but the other thing, Kay, that you should know, so you remember it was just me and you. We were reviewing albums, and we did Al Chimera by Lord Olo and Christ
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes.
I posted a clip. Christ Cooper found it and was like, "Yo, I need to see this full thing." I was like, "All right, here's the private link." Normally just the Patreons, but love your work, you know. And he posted, "This is the best review of my work that has ever happened in my career." Was me
Such a
talking about that
compliment.
album. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Gonna send a care package to me and stuff. Like this is that kind of stuff is that's a kind of reward I couldn't have even anticipated happening. You know what I mean? I couldn't even be like, hopefully I'll write the best reviews of artists.
Sure, yeah.
Not what I was even thinking getting into the game, you know? So it's really, it floors me every time, but it brings me great joy. I hope it does it for you too, Ken.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's always great to hear that.
Yeah, man.
As a writer, it's a great compliment. And as an artist, just being on the other side of that, when a reviewer and somebody who, you know, really respects the craft, you know, when they write something and you feel like they get it, there's like few better feelings as an artist, because you know, you kind of explain the unexplainable and you try to, you know, add context to the craziness of life. And sometimes you get it, sometimes you nail it, and sometimes it just is, you know. So when someone listens to your work and can make sense of what you tried to make sense of, it's great. It makes you feel like, okay, somebody gets this crazy shit that's in my brain, you know.
And the other thing, Kay, so every year I do a write-up some of my favorite album of the year, not the best album, but the one that's kind of in my heart all year. And I did that write-up, but I actually reached out for a blurb from August Fanon. Like I reached like, would you be interested in writing a blurb on this? What I got back was so beautiful and so personal and so interesting that I was just like, holy shit. So
shout out to
everything to the next level. So a few days after we're recording this, it'll be available everywhere. And I'm super proud of how it came out. And Fanon is a very introverted character and one of the most important producers running right now. So for him to trust me with that information is incredible. So I don't take that lightly at all. Yeah. Do you want to plug anything? Shout out anything? Let the people know.
Oh, me?
You. Yeah.
No, I'm working on the audiobook version to my memoir. Which I'm glad I've taken this time to kind of like separate from the book and then to come back and read it in my voice for audio version. It's been a really fun experience. So that'll be out next year. I've got 3 albums that are like just need to be pushed over the finish line.
Yep.
So I've got some longer form stuff coming next year. Don't know what's gonna come out first or next, but definitely got a lot of music in the tuck and just writing more, doing more hosting stuff. Fingers crossed. I won't say it now because I've historically had this habit of saying things too soon. And then when the shit don't happen, it's like, well, damn. So don't want to jinx it. Yeah. But hopefully I'll be doing some really like important touring next year with some good people. Yeah.
Yeah. No, buy Her Word is Bond.
Yeah. Buy the book, Her Word is Bond, The Return of Big Perm. #1 on the list next week is available. It's available now.
It's a dope project. Yeah, always love the song. It's great to have you here, and I'm so excited to go this top 25
Yeah, this has been fun. This has been fun. I was like so scared maybe a week ago. I was like, damn, I got it's a lot of shit. Like, but it's been fun. Like I said, it's been a fun project, making sure that I like stay abreast of like there's just so much music, and it's pushed me to like take time out of my day that I might have been scrolling. Who knows, you know?
Yep.
Might have been doing something else. But I've been like, no, let me get through this list and listen to this music. So I appreciate you asking me to do this.
Oh, it's great.
It's been very enjoyable. I love talking with you guys for sure.
Yeah. Subscribe to the Patreon.
Yeah, subscribe to the Patreon.
Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or whatever. I'm, going to be tipsy, different places, handing out business cards. You'll see me.
What will tomorrow bring?